I was put into an at-home daycare when I was a tiny baby. My mom stayed home with me as long as she could and then put me with this lady. A couple of years went by and then there was an incident. Now, I have not told anyone about this, not even my husband. I honestly, till recently, I wasn't even sure if it was a real memory or if it was a dream. You know, when it's an early memory and you're not quite sure if it's real or not. I was only like 3 or so, maybe 4. Nonetheless, this event occurred. It was sexual in nature. I know I was with the other little girl that was the same age as me, but I know that there was also someone else there controlling what was happening. It truly still seems like a dream while I was even typing this. I have never spoken about this out loud to anyone before, ever. But I know it happened. I trust myself. I know it made me really scared and uncomfortable to be there after that. I already did feel uncomfortable before this event because this lady was really quite scary, very loud and domineering in nature, which is just naturally scary for tiny kids. If I had said something to my mom about this event, I'm not sure if I did. I can't remember. She didn't listen or hear me or believe me if I did. I had to continue going to this home for the next 2 years until I started kindergarten. There was so much more abuse that happened at this daycare. I guess this is where I will discuss how this lady who ran this daycare was one of the biggest bullies, one of the biggest narcissists I ever had to recover from. The sexual incident was not ongoing, thank goodness. I'm so grateful for that. I had mentioned before that there was another little girl who was almost the same exact age as me. She was actually adopted by the owner of this daycare. This daycare ran from her actual home. There were never more than 5 of us at a time or so, very small, very intimate setting. And this lady was very harsh. I remember her making me eat these mashed potatoes she had made, and they were literally making me feel like I was going to vomit. I can remember like it was yesterday, but she forced me to eat them, and in a very, really domineering, scary way. And this was just normal. This was just her personality. She was very dark in nature, now looking back. Always having to walk on eggshells type of energy. So I was having to deal with this scary lady every day and then having to go home and deal with the toxicity within my home as well. There was no escape. Every time I tried to tell my mom about the abuse we were dealing with, she didn't care, or she just didn't want to hear, or she would think I was just being too sensitive. It seemed like her job and her status and how she was perceived by others was always a priority over what I was going through. I know she had to do what she had to do to make a living and provide for our family, especially knowing with all the fights my parents would have about money and how my dad would just spend his money frivolously. I learned at a very young age how not to manage money, among many other things, but I digress. I just never felt seen or heard. This daycare lady was always putting me in competition with the other little girl, making us do these like recitals, and the other girl was so good at like dancing and baton and all the things, and I just wasn't. It wasn't my thing. It still isn't, and I'm more of like the athletic type. But I just remember the trauma of her making us dress up and do these recitals. They were brutal. All the push down that she did to me totally caused me to be very reserved and very shy for the rest of my growing up. I can clearly place that this is why I am the way I am in certain ways. Those early years, we all know, are very influential in how we turn out as adults. I have had to do a whole lot of unpacking and healing from that time in my life, and that healing will always continue. My light seemed to always just be a little too bright for some people, so they would just try and dim it. And this would continue throughout my life. Stay tuned for more. Love ya.